Andy Hamilton Track Wrestling here in Ithaca, New York with two-time national champion Gabe Dean. One of the things I think that was really interesting that came out of last year's national tournament was the letter that you wrote. Can you take us through that a little bit, how that process evolved, what they asked each of the finalists to write one? Is that true?
I don't know if they asked each of the finalists, but about 2 or 3 weeks before NCAA's happened, they emailed. I got an email that said, "Hey, we want you to write a letter, and if you happen to make it to the finals, we want you to read it before that night." So I wrote. That's how I was contacted. So I'm not sure.
What was the message you wanted to get across with that? What was the process like in terms of writing it?
So I think the message that I wanted to really get across, and that I wanted people to understand, was that it's a lot bigger picture than just two guys wrestling on a mat. There's different ways to look at things. We call that perspective, and I think it's easy. And what I preach is, like, it's easy to get kind of caught up in today's world with all the social media and stuff about doing things for the wrong reasons, for attention driven, and trying to get noticed, and the accolades and all that stuff, which all that stuff is great, and everybody's got goals of accomplishing big things. But I was saying more in my letter that, hey, like, just as important as all that stuff is, the other thing is learning from your failures, from your losses, from the things that the adversity that sports really provide young people with, because after eventually, and everybody that's played sports knows this, is that it ends someday. You can't play sports the rest of your life, and a lot more important things come along down the road, like becoming a father, and husband, and taking care of your kids and raising a family and helping them accomplish all their goals and dreams that they have with what you've learned from your past. And sports are phenomenal because they provide us with so much adversity at a young age, so that when we get to those points in our lives, we're able to draw from our experiences when we were young. So I think that's what the true value in sports are. It's not just about winning national titles and becoming an All-American, even so that stuff is very rewarding and accomplishing. I think it's more for the fact that you're kind of learning how to become a better version of yourself, and sports provide you with a lot of different situations that you can learn from.
How close were you to not playing, not wrestling in college? Because you were an all-state football player, right?
Yeah.
All-state quarterback in Michigan.
Yeah. I think I was going into my senior year. I really wanted to play football. In high school, going into my senior year, I thought it'd be really, my passion was there. I had more success in that area in high school than I did in wrestling, and I just, I had a bad experience with recruiting, and it kind of opened, and then a new door opened, and a huge opportunity came at Cornell. A lot of people think I just came to Cornell to wrestle, which is, it's easy to think that because they have built an incredible wrestling program here. But with an opportunity like Cornell, with an Ivy League education, and like I said, you're always thinking about preparing yourself for the future and the next stages in your life. So with an opportunity like that, it was hard not to take. And they were great. My family was in love with the coaching staff here when they met them. The guys here, they've built a very tight-knit family culture that I saw on my recruiting visit, and I kind of fell in love with the place. And it is, everything happens for a reason, and I could not be more blessed and thankful for everything that's happened in my life so far.
So talking to some of the guys today, they brought up your first college tournament. You didn't place, right, in Buffalo?
No, I did not.
You lost to Kenny Courts and Vic Avery. Okay,
yeah.
So no slouches there.
Yeah.
But after that, what was your reaction after that tournament?
We've been training hard. Cam Simez was our coach, and he's a Michigan guy like myself, and he'd really been working with me a lot and wrestling with me a lot and really pushing me to my limits. So, we went into that first tournament, and at the time didn't know who those two guys were, but those guys ended up being very successful in their own right. So, lost those two, and I kind of just came off of that, and I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm coming into the wrestling room every day, and I'm getting the crap kicked out of me, and I go to the first tournament, and I'm not winning any wrestling matches, but so I called my dad, and I talked to my dad a little bit, and he's like, hey, just remember why you started, wrestling, why you started playing sports in the first place. And I was like, you're right. And, found some more purpose, started getting more discipline, started changing, some things, my workouts, and just, trusted in the process. And went to my next tournament and placed. And, I never won a tournament, but I placed in a few, and just kind of went from there. It goes back to what I was saying earlier, just like, in those really adverse times where you have to kind of reflect on yourself and you're questioning what you're doing. You just got to remind yourself, like, hey, like, this is all for something bigger, and definitely not going to quit and give it up. So I'm going to keep trying to push forward, and at least it would be a huge learning process if nothing else happens.
Did you have any second thoughts about football at that point?
A little bit. I remember saying to my dad, I was really upset on the phone. I remember saying to him, like, hey, like, maybe I shouldn't be wrestling here. I'm not doing anything for them, and maybe I should try, walking onto the football team here or something like that. And like, that thought was probably like 15 minutes, and then it was like, oh, that's ridiculous. We got to stick with this and, finish what we started. So, my dad's always been there for me. Those low moments that I have, and I continue, those don't stop, so I continue to have, and he's always given me a lot bigger perspective on things and helped me see things in a different way. And same with Damien, guy's desk I'm sitting at right now. He's become a huge role model to me and mentor, and I'd give my own life for that guy. So, those two have really helped me a lot.
How did you go from that point to 13, 14 months later, whatever it was, beating Ed Ruth, winning the Southern Scuffle?
Again, I think it just goes down to, highly motivated, disciplined, just, being tough and gritty and just kind of battling it out. Ed Ruth was a much better wrestler than me at the time, and he had pinned me in Binghamton at the beginning of the year in his little crossface cradle there, and he's just more athletic, and the only way I could win against a guy like that, I knew, is if I grinded it out with him and, put him in positions where he had to fight, and, he didn't get things so easily. And, honestly, going into that match at the Southern Scuffle, I didn't probably think I was going to win, but I knew I just wanted to give him a tough match and fight him, and a lot tougher than I gave him in Binghamton, where he got pinned in a minute and a half. And, I found myself in a position where I could win. And, I give a lot of credit to Ed Ruth. He had been, in order for something like that to happen, the guy has to build himself up so high, get on an 84-match win streak, be a two-time national champ, and, do all these great things. So he put himself in a position for me to be able to, do something like that. So credit to him. And how he finished off that year, I would trade the Southern Scuffle for the national semifinals any day. So a lot of people talk about the Southern Scuffle, but I'm like, hey, you beat me in the national semifinals, and I would have loved to beat him there as opposed to the Southern Scuffle. So, credit to him and how he finished out his career.
But that was the one that kind of put you on the map, I think, with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Now you're kind of in that position. Does that help you? Having been in that position of the guy trying to knock the guy off at the top.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's kind of funny now. It's like, well, I kind of am in a position where Ed was when I was coming up, and I think, it's probably really easy to get nervous and think about, like, all the things that you can do, but like I said, whatever happens this year. I'm going to work as hard as I can, do everything right in my life and outside of wrestling, and whatever happens. I can only focus on the things I can control. I can't control what people say about me on social media, and write about me on forums, and I can't control what everybody hypes up and makes everything look like, when really it's pretty simple. You come in, you put the work in, and you eat right, live right, and let the rest take care of itself. So, I love competition, and I look forward to, the different adversities that come this year.
You signed off on Twitter for 2016.
Yeah.
What, yesterday? Or
Yesterday, yep.
Why so?
I think those kind of things are kind of distractions. I think it's easy to spend a lot of time on social media, since our phones now are so connected in every way, shape, and form. And I just kind of wanted to gear down, and like Damien said, I'm a pretty structured guy, and I'm kind of cutting a lot of social media out of my life, just so that I can focus down and have fun this year, and just not spend too much time on that stuff. And that's why I did it. So.